by teachers need to be approachable and inspiring for students so that second language students that are struggling with their English skills can learn from them because students appreciate teachers that are approachable and that will inspire them to do well in their math. Also, to improve students' math, I believe that students need to participate in class activities. Another reason is that teachers can help students be self-motivated one by one-on-one lectures in a slow and repeated method. If a student had trouble learning from their teachers, the teachers just slowly and repeatedly uh, repeat their lectures to their students. Also, another way that student can can improve their math skills by that teachers should provide informational notes for the students to study. Here is a brain teaser where I think is a good example why students are having trouble with math. It reads, what fractions tells how many crayons are out of the box. For most students, the challenge the challenge for them is to translate the words into numeric problems for them to solve this question. Most students that have trouble with math cannot translate words into numeric problems for them to solve such a simple question such as this one. If you're wondering what the answer is, their answer is B, 2/4 or 2/7. In conclusion, students and their knowledge of their second language can lead to their low level in math. Also, second language teachers and their second language teachers can be a factor for students' success in math because they speak a different language and it can present a problem for students trying to achieve credit level math. Here I saw a building where why English and math are very important. The two pillars that are holding the roof shows the academic accreditation. The roof is the accreditation represent the academic success. And if students don't have good English or either math skills, their foundations will not be strong enough to support. And that's why it is important for students to have both good English and math skills. Do you have any questions? Yes, Nick?
Question, a couple questions and then suggestion. So, you said that students need to learn math at an early age. I'm not sure what school system you went through, whether it's public or private, but as far as I understand, maybe you can tell me if this is true or not, there are no story problems in the Marshallese language in our education system now. Is that correct?
The language?
Yeah, there are no story problems in Marshallese language. Is that correct?
Word problems?
Yeah. From what I understand, it is.
Were you introduced to, when you took math in grammar school, were you introduced too? Were there problems that were martially
Uh,
in that?
well, back then I wasn't taught uh, math problems in Marshallese. I was just taught in English.
Um, now,
Yes.
yeah, I have a couple more questions and one more comment. I guess, do you remember any math being taught in the Marshallese language, period, in school? Being
It's just,
taught?
it's just addition and subtraction.
Not even multiplication?
There is multiplication,
Okay, so arithmetic is taught in Marshallese, but nothing else.
nothing else.
Okay, that's interesting to me. Do you think it would be helpful to have story problems in Marshallese at a young age for Marshallese students?
Yes, I think it will be because you can build on their language skills. And the teachers can, I think that student can also learn that.
Yeah. Thanks, Ted. And my comment was about the teachers whose second language is English. Maybe video recordings in this day and age would be one solution for that, where the student can go back whenever they want to. If there's, say, a confusing passage, and then even if they still don't understand it after going back many times, they could go to that professor and say, "Look, I just don't understand this section of your recording. Can you explain this part of it to me more?" I think
Yeah.
that's one possible solution.
That's good.
Thanks, Ted.
One of the things that came out in the study, which I thought was really interesting, and I've heard it from a lot of students, is that many of our at CMI are faculty members that teach math, and I don't necessarily know why, have different kinds of accents, and where Marshallese get more comfortable with, for instance, an American accent, if you throw a different accent in there, and a different, where the teacher, they don't have a problem understanding them when they're working on the board, when they're actually doing the problem. But they do have a difficulty decoding the accent and the language. So it's just a matter of not having been exposed to different people speaking English without different kinds of accents. So I think that that's one of the issues that we really need to think about. But I think your idea about having access to tapes, I think that's what some of the Alex programs does, is repeat how to solve a problem over, and they can have it repeated to them. But that's what came out really strongly when you look at his research, was that students invariably had problems with teachers in math that had a heavy accent in their first language, even though their English was good. It's the accent and the pronunciation that causes difficulty. I mean, it causes difficulty for all of us, but it's that translation from having to go from a change in code from a numerical code to a word code in words in math. It goes back and forth, and that one slide with the crayon shows you have to go from reading the question in English words to putting it into a numerical form in order to solve it, and then put it back in and understand the word answers. But I think, and that's a good illustration of what students have to do, second language students, when they're trying to learn math as well as understand the words that math has to teach.
Ted, we know that a majority and almost all of our students start in math at the developmental level, the lowest developmental level. My question is, do you have any idea in what grade level that corresponds to in the school system? Like, our developmental level 1 is what grade? Would they be handling that material?
First,
Can you use the microphone so we can hear you?
at the CMI, the student that start at the first level developmental math, they start at basic arithmetics. This has add and addition.
And where would that be taught in school?
Elementary, I think below 5.
Thank you.
Mary?
The little thing that you handed out here, the question,
Yes, sir.
is the deal here that it keeps saying divide. Divide a number by 10 and the answer is 3. What number did I divide? Is it because we have to actually multiply? Is that what's,
Well, that's the 3 quick word problems. It is complex for students that have low English level to take the whole of that concept, that very simple problem. And yes, to get that answer, you have to multiply the answer to 10 and you have to answer, you have to multiply 3 to 10 to get the answer. Right. Yes.
Okay, so as part of your capstone, you have to produce a product. Would you talk to us about what product you produced?
Oh, my product is on the table over there. It's a
What is it?
brochure.
Yeah, okay.
The contents in this product tells of my work, of my research topic.
and
Yes,
What did you do for community service?
I spent 20 hours at UTU
Doing,
assisting the teacher
doing.
math. Oh, the program at UTU is a very special program because it helps children that are struggling with education and financial hardship. What UTU does is that it selects students that are having either financial trouble or educational trouble to take them into their classes and be taught by marshals of basic arithmetic. The teacher that I was working with was teaching basic math using both marshals and English skills. And almost all of the students, all our percentage of those students were actually learning math. Any more questions?
Research, but also possible solutions. Our third and final presentation today is Mr. Tyrone DeBroom, and his project is another project about remedial types of programs that we offer at CMI, as well as an idea for a 13th year project. It's post 12th grade plan. It's pre-13th at CMI. Tyrone, give him a hand, please.
Thank you, Janet. First of all, I would like to introduce my mentors because they've been very hardworking. They helped me a lot throughout my capstone project. My first mentor is Vaz Sahu. Unfortunately, she's not here. I believe she's busy with the final examinations. My second mentor is Aluka Rakin, right here. Is there any comments you'd like to say out to the audience?
Thank you for recognizing me.
Thank you to the both of you guys. My capstone project is about it's an idea as what Janet had mentioned before. It's something that we can do to improve student academics. It's called Post-12 Grade Plan or Pre-13 at CMI. What is a Post-12 Grade Plan? It is a plan, a program that is designed especially for developmental level students in level 1 for the courses math and English. It's like a bridge, so it connects struggling high school graduates, meaning they did graduate but they're still struggling in class, in math and English specifically. And it is a bridge from them to developmental level 2, 3, and even college level students. So this program is something that these students can be part of, and if they do succeed, they may go climb the bridge and get to level 2, 3, or even college level. Goals for the post-12 plan, post-12 grade plan, sorry. To fund the plan for Dev Ed level 1 students in English and math. This is, so they fund students, meaning students won't be able to use up their Pell Grant. In that way, they can save it up for higher education, and that can help them by avoiding any risk of financial problem once they get into credit level. Another one is to promote a faster and stronger learning environment. This is basically something that students would be part of the plan and then apply SLO or student learning outcomes for developmental level 1 math and English. So yeah. And they can also learn to value and be progressive in their education. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna just review the SLO, student learning outcomes for developmental level students, level 1 students in English at CMI. So respond to communicative exchanges, that is answering simple statements, questions, and comments in English. Listen properly, responding to questions, and understanding what is said and taught in English. Speak effectively, acquiring correct punctuation, new vocabulary, and speech skills. Read fluently, using dictionaries and other sources to develop fluency. Demonstrate active reading and reference skills. Understanding main ideas, answering questions, and making corrections based on critical thinking. Self-select independent reading. Applying comprehension on an appropriate grade level reading and reading novels of interest. Write effectively. Answering clearly and correctly to questions in paragraph and sentence form. Employ correct grammar and mechanics. Going over and proofreading any possible errors in a text. Use appropriate formats. Using proper formats like double space, right size fonts, and such. And the last one, employ basic study skill strategies. That is applying or time managing, proper good note taking, outlining and using and visualizing diagrams. So these are the student learning outcomes for developmental level English students at CMI. Now, okay, for math, student learning outcomes for math, Dev Ed level 1 students. Manipulate and conceptualize integers, that is, using integers with basic addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. Manipulate and conceptualize rational numbers, that is, using rational numbers with the properties of operation, and also plotting rational numbers on number lines and stuff like that. Conceptualize and create equivalencies using substitution. These are converting fractions, decimals, and percentage or percents. And conceptualize means to know what it means. So it's not just 3 is just not 3. It does mean something. So 3 can be 3 pieces of candy or 3 feet. So conceptualize means to understand what it means. For estimate, measure, and calculating perimeters and areas. This is basically introducing units of measures. Measurement, sorry. Practice word problem application with emphasis on understanding keywords to solve. So these are, this is comprehending word problem application and applying them to a real life situation. Okay. So here is the unduplicated enrollment rate in spring semester from 2009, in the spring semesters from 2009 to 2013. As you can see on the vertical line, this is the number of students, and down at the horizontal line, the school year. And you can see by the bars that there's slightly increasing over the years. In these 5 years, there has been a 31% change in the total unduplicated enrollment. So we know for sure that there's more and more students each year over the past years. Success rate in developmental level English. So here, I got this from the fact sheet, the booklet for the year 2013. So these are grades for developmental and college level students. So up here. Okay, so up here in this bar, it shows the good grades, successful grades for developmental and college level students in a year. So over the years, 2009, we've had 481 students with passing grades in English, 451, 509, 430, 35 over the years. But then we're gonna have to not really gonna highlight college level because this research study was based on developmental level students. So down here is the chart. They changed these to percentage. The blue ones are the successful grades for each year. Yellow ones, unsuccessful grades. And then green ones, they're for students who withdraw English. And then all these bars, the vertical line shows the number of years. So in the 5 years, for successful grade, we've had their average of 58%. And then unsuccessful grades in math or English developmental, we've had 34% average, and for withdrawal, 9%. Successful rate in developmental math. Okay, the graph is the same thing as the first one that I've just explained, but it's in math. So over the past 4 years, successful grade in math, we've had 45%. Unsuccessful, we've had 47%, and withdrawal, we have 9%, or 8%, sorry. I think Ted also had this graph. I believe this is quite important. Like I think these are like the main graphs that I would wanna like highlight to like the audience, because these are basically what I would want to like tell people that we really need something for Dev Ed Level 1 students. So down here, the blue bars are for developmental level 1 students. That's the lower level. Yellow one, middle, that's level 2. Green, higher developmental level English. And then for the red bar, is college level English. As you can see here, although it's been slightly going down, which is a good thing, it's a good sign, we still have high numbers of DevEd Level 1 students who are enrolled in English. As for math, it's the same thing. DevEd Level 1 students, it's also the highest among all the years than the rest. If the standards established by MOE remains the same, the plan hopes to continue and strengthen its mission by supplying qualified and well-trained teachers, specifically for majors like secondary education and math and English studies. Assessment of student academics based on the student learning outcomes by CMI. In that way, they can teachers or like this plan can keep reminding, or like not reminding, but like showing how much progress like students have been as they go throughout as they partake the plan. School resources such as textbooks, computers, calculators, hands-on materials are are useful materials for the plan students to have for the plan. For this plan, there are specific goals that I believe would benefit students. From the results mentioned, advocating a post-12 grade plan envision that students will be given an exit exam to prove whether they have mastered the SLO for English and Math developmental level 1. And then after that, if they pass, then they can now take the placement test just to see if they're qualified or eligible to be in level 2, 3, or even college level. Then they can also graduate in a major of their choice in 3 years or less. This way, I kind of calculated because like so once they pass the placement test, after they partake in this plan, most likely students would have at least 2 to 3 years to complete their education at CMI. Then there are lifelong learning goals. Students will learn to value education. That is to yeah, and students will strive to accomplish their school mission. That is to complete their college education and then move on forward to other higher, uh, other education. Students will engage themselves in their studies. This way, they will know that it's very important that they value education because it does tell what their future lie ahead of them, and that way they can probably become the future leaders of the Marshall Islands. So yeah. Any questions? Yes.
What was your community service project?
I also work at Youth to Youth. Ted and I work there because it's under the same category, education.
Did you do the same thing as Ted?
No. He worked with. I worked with older kids, about between ages 8 to 13, and
Doing what?
well, I tutored them
In?
in math and English and other well, it's kind of like there are a lot of stuff. We do math, English, we even do reading, and sometimes we would do matching of shapes and stuff like that. I don't really know where that falls on there. Yeah. Yes, Janet.
Where do you foresee the funding for this program may be coming from?
Well, I hope it's from MOE or and even like other granting agencies that might want to help out young students academics. Yeah. Any other questions? Sorry. I would like to thank these people because they've been working with me consistently, and I constantly sorry.
Constantly sorry.
Without you guys, I think I wouldn't I wouldn't be here. I would probably withdraw. I'm just kidding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tara. As you can see, the issues are very varied. They include greater issues that have to do with nutrition. They include worries about our students succeeding at CMI. And they include the identification of pathways for students to do better and to achieve a higher level, maybe a little quicker than they are now. Once again, the projects that we have are geared toward having the student try to work on solutions built from a basis of research. And I want to thank our three presenters. Please give them a hand. I'd also like to thank our guests and our mentors, because without you, without the mentors especially, helping these students and reaching out a hand when they've asked, they wouldn't be able to dig into their topics and work on solutions. So please, thank you. And lastly, I'd like to invite someone I know a little bit about, my husband, Don Hess, who is Vice President of Academic Affairs and Student Life. He changes his topic every time. To come up with a short presentation for our students. Carl, would you like to? They're going to present them with that certificate.
Thank you. I'd like to add, number one, my thanks to to the students that participate in this. It's always difficult, it's an elective, it's not a mandatory course, but it really, number one, I think helps you guys, and it certainly helps us because it gives us a true assessment of our student learning outcomes. I also like to give a great thanks to the mentors. These mentors aren't, they don't come up and say, I'd like to be a mentor. Our students have to go out and find them and find their interests in the topic. And Aluka, thank you for mentoring 2 of our students. I know your heart's still at CMI and we miss you back there. And like I said, this Capstone project is also near and dear to my heart. And we've had very successful presenters of Capstone projects. We had one student has already had his research appear in a peer-reviewed article. We've had others that are continuing on in their research or forming basis for other things like child care center, another one in aquaculture that's still pursuing that. So this is a springboard. It's not a finishing, even though it's a capstone, it's really a springboard also. So to go on to bigger and better things. And again, I thank you all. So with that said, I'd like to, Carl, did you want to say something? Or you just stand up here looking pretty? And you do look pretty. Yeah. I'd like to call on the following to come up and get their certificates of appreciation for participation in the Liberal Arts Capstone project. The first presentation is to someone who presented their project in December, but is present with us today, and that is Zoe Myers. Next, I'd like to call on Richard Schellhaus for his presentation today. And next, we're not sure if it's Ted Michael Jr. or Ted Jr. Michael, but either one, Ted Michael. And certainly last but not least, Tyrone DeBroom. And I'd like to encourage the products of the Capstone are over there on the table. I think there's brochures, there's edible leaves and bark and things. And I think there's refreshments, Mary?
Yes, there are
refreshments.
And there are some examples of math fun things.
There's some fun math things.
Fun math from Ted's presentation.
And again, I thank everyone for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the presentations.